Okay, ninth graders, you're here for video 4, operations on functions, addition and subtraction with numbers. Mr. Craig is your writer, I am your narrator, and Mr. Nelson is your calculator guy.
Woohoo!
We have two functions. We have f of x equals 4x plus 8, that's our red function, and g of x equals 2x minus 12, that's our green function. Remember, f and g are just the names of the functions. For the first time, we're going to be adding functions together. So for part A, we have f plus g of 6. We're going to do f of 6 and g of 6. We're going to add them together. So we're going to reveal what this could look like for us. Because we have two functions, first we're going to be working in red for function f. We're going to put a big set of parentheses for all of the information that belongs to function f. When we take a look, function f of x was 4x plus 8. So inside this big set of parentheses, we're going to write 4, and then we're going to write a small set of parentheses. We're going to remove our x plus 8. Then we'll bring down our plus sign because we're adding these two functions together, and we're going to work in green. Function g of x needs its own big set of parentheses for all of its information, and it was 2x minus 12. So inside the big parentheses, we'll write 2. A small set of parentheses, we're going to replace the x minus 12. Now it's time to substitute. We're going to remove the x's, and in those parentheses, we're going to put 6 because we're doing f plus g of 6. Now we have kind of a big expression that looks like the ones we reviewed in video 1. We could take the time to work in our red set of parentheses, simplify 4 times 6 plus 8, work in our green parentheses, and simplify 2 times 6 minus 12, and then add them all together. But Mr. Nelson's going to show us a quicker and easier way using the calculator.
Yep, so the calculator that you guys can use is just go straight on over to Google.
You mean the search engine in Google?
Just the search engine. Let me get my screen shared to you guys. You guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
And in the search engine, you guys can just type in the equation because it has its own calculator. So up here in the search engine, I'm going to type exactly what we got in our expression. Oops, forgot my plus there. Plus, and we have our 2 times 6 minus 12, and then our last parentheses. And then we just got to hit enter, and that should calculate for us. Here we have, it shows the expression again, but 32 is our answer.
That's cool.
Much quicker and easier than doing those out by hand, and it makes sure we don't make any silly mistakes on the way.
So, how do I know this equals 32, Miss Johnson, but how do I write my answer? Because I'm not sure if that makes sense by itself.
Well, we need to write the beginning statement, f plus g, remember that's in parentheses, of 6 equals 32. We have our input and our output.
So it's saying if I take the function f plus the function g and input 6, I will get 32. Cool.
But Mr. Craig, they can't all be that easy. We need to take a look at subtraction. I know, but it's going to be okay. We have f minus g of 2. F of x is still the same function it was before. G of x is the same function it was before. But now we're going to subtract, and we're going to find the value for 2. So Mr. Craig is going to reveal our expression, f of 2 minus g of 2. Just like before, we're going to put a big set of red parentheses for our function f. In those parentheses, we'll have 4, a little set of parentheses for us to replace the x value, plus 8. This time we're bringing down a minus sign because we're subtracting. We need to make sure we attend to precision with our signs when we put functions together. Another set of green parentheses for function g, And
Ms.
inside
Johnson,
those,
do I have to put them in color if I'm doing them on my paper and I'm a student?
yes, you do, because color coding will help you. But of course, you can do it without color.
Because I don't have anything.
In those green parentheses, you're going to put 2 and then another tiny set of parentheses to replace the x, minus 12. In the last example, we were replacing the x with a value of 6, but this time we're replacing with a value of 2. So in each set of parentheses, we're going to substitute 2. If you were choosing to do this by hand, you would need to be very careful. Back in video 1, we talked about needing to distribute our subtraction. So if you're going to simplify by hand, then make sure you attend to precision with the subtraction. But make your life easy. Do what Mr. Nelson does instead.
We love you, Mr. Nelson.
Yep, and that's just going right on over to Google's calculator again and typing exactly what we've got here, 4 times 2 plus 8. And then we're subtracting 2 times 2 minus 12. Watch out for those parentheses. Make sure they're all typed in right. Double check to make sure you've typed in what you want to type in. And then you can hit enter there. You get your answer of 24.
So I got to make sure I put those parentheses in or else I'd get a different answer, right?
That's correct.
Oh, yay!
You got it. For our final answer, we found out it was 24, so Mr. Craig is going to write f minus g of 2 equals 24. Hey, Mr. Craig,
Nice.
are all those parentheses really necessary?
Well, yes, I'm afraid so, because especially for distributing here and here, because this parentheses is telling us what the operation is. We're taking the f function and we're subtracting the g function. And this is what we are substituting into each of those functions. So they all have a purpose and a reason. And this way you can put them in your calculator without making a mistake. If you put it just like you wrote it, don't abbreviate or add or subtract anything. Your calculator is stupid, but it's the kind of stupid we need. You put exactly what you see, it's a copycat, and it'll give you the right answer.
We have one last example, and this time please notice that it says f plus f of 3. Sometimes we're just using one function over again. So when Mr. Craig reveals,
oops, come on, reveal.
Then you'll see that both of these are red this time. We're going to have f of 3 plus another f of 3. We're going to have a red set of parentheses, and by now you should know the drill. It's going to have a 4 with a small set of parentheses to substitute for x plus 8. We're going to bring down our plus sign because we're combining these, but then another set of red parentheses. This is going to be the same thing, 4 with a small set of parentheses for the x plus 8.
I have pretty handwriting.
It's almost as good as mine. Inside those little parentheses, we're going to replace with 3. We're substituting 3 for our value in this function.
Cool.
Mr. Nelson, are you going to type those in for us?
I sure can. I wasn't sure if you wanted to add anything to that. Same thing goes here. We're going to type exactly what we got, not forgetting any of those parentheses. So 4 times 3 plus 8. And that is one group. We're going to add it to our other function, which is also 4 times 3 plus 8. Don't forget that last parenthesis. Hit enter, and voila. We get an answer of 40.
So nice.
If you want to take the time to do these out by hand, feel free. I know there's many of us who need more stuff to do at home, but if you want to make it quick and easy, then use the Google search bar just like Mr. Nelson.
So
we found out
plus
that f of 3 equals 40.
Plus of 3 equals 40. Awesome. That's all for today. Good luck. Next up, functions with variables.